What's up, guys? Welcome back to Almost Functional. We're here today to go over the Leviathan Tournament Companion that just got released today. And we have a special guest with us today, Louis Betancourt, probably the main TO in Central Florida, if not the biggest TO in all of Florida. He So what do you run now? You run two RTTs a month right now, big ones.
So yeah, currently I'm running 44-man RTTs in Kissimmee, Florida, at a certain comic book store. We won't mention names just in case of things. And Warforge in Seminole, Florida, and that's also a 44-man RTT as well.
Yeah, so
I also do Crucible. I'm actually the head judge of the GT portion of it, and then Tim Wright does the actual narrative portion.
yeah, and that's pretty much has been for the last few little while the biggest tournament in Florida, right?
It is biggest convention, absolutely. It's going to be 40 to 60 vendors. There's going to be all kinds of games other than Warhammer, Age of Sigmar. We're going to have Legion, Blood Bowl, tons of stuff. Great time, lots of fun. GT qualifier for both systems for Age of Sigmar and 40K as
Cool.
well.
Yeah, so basically, for those who don't know, Kissimmee is over near Orlando, and Tampa's over, or Seminole's over near Tampa. So he basically runs one on the West Coast and one on the East Coast. So a lot of traveling for that. And then Crucible is over in Orlando, so that's a West Coast, that's the East Coast Florida tournament. And then you also run the Onslaughts a couple times, right? They're also GTs. They're kind of your baby. You grew over on the East Coast of Florida
Absolutely.
or West Coast of Florida.
Yeah, we have Onslaught 6 is coming up in September. So that'll be our sixth GT of the year, and that should be around a 60, 70, 80 man event. And then next year, following, or actually after that, is the Crucible Convention, September 29th to October 2nd. That's going to be 124 plus participants, big convention, 20,000 square feet. It's going to be a great time.
Cool. Well, that sounds great. So then, you seem like the best man, especially in Florida, to talk to about the tournament rules.
I would like to hope so.
Yeah. All right. So, well, in that case, let's go ahead and we'll hop into these things. Let me fix this screen real quick. Come on. All right. So, we got the tournament companion we just came out today uh, to give us a little introduction here, which is basically just saying this is the guidelines to support events, and it's slightly different than the tournament pack. They have these recommendations are presented as follows. Leviathan tournament mission sequence, adjustments to the steps players would normally follow to generate a mission and prepare the battlefield. That's just, there's some updates to the cards. There's a tournament mission pool. They have 15 recommended tournament rounds to draw from. They have their 4 recommended terrain layouts, and then they have their recommended patterns and rankings, which we'll get into each of those as we go. So I'm assuming most people have the Leviathan cards. If not, we'll run through them really quick. Uh, Steps 2, 4, and 5 are listed here and changed from the main cards. Basically, the main cards, step 1, muster your army, build your army. Easy, everyone does that. Step 2, determine the missions. It's normally the random cards. At the tournaments, they're going to be the preset ones that we'll get down to in a minute. Then step 3, read mission. A lot of players skim mission, read the mission. That'll help you a lot. Uh, and then
Don't
4.
we all do that?
Sometimes, yeah. And then halfway through, you realize you're playing something wrong. Oh wait, this is a
40K
whole.
players
Yep.
are notorious for reading half of the paragraph.
Oh yeah, I don't know how many times halfway through a game, me and the opponent are like, "Oh, this is a hold 2, hold 3," or "Oh, this has sticky objectives."
Yep.
Yep. And then 4, you just place the objective markers, and they actually tweaked it for tournaments
They
somewhat
did. I love it.
that you
I love it.
actually can walk onto the objectives.
Absolutely.
Oh
So
yeah,
it doesn't become this weird, impassable terrain piece, right?
yeah,
That a knight looks at and is like, I just can't hop over this. It's too much for me.
yeah. I know a lot of people were having issues. Like every stream game you watched, they kept yelling at each other. But that's
Yeah.
actually it doesn't actually say walk on them, but it says marker as a flat circular 40 millimeter down here, and that's what that means. It's no impediment to movement or placement of models.
Right.
So they say it kind of fancy, but that's what it means. Then it says create battlefield, but in the tournaments, they're going to be using the preset ones that I'm assuming most places eventually. We'll see if a lot of places that use player place start moving over to this. Hopefully they will, because then we'll have a really standard tournament package everywhere, which would be amazing.
Well, this is my least favorite topic in this pack right here. So,
Oh yeah, go get it. Yep.
as most people know, right, I've been doing this for 8 years. I've been collecting terrain for a very long time. And I don't think there's going to be any tournament organizer other than Games Workshop that's going to be able to adhere specifically to this entire layout. It requires too much with the 4 inches and the 2 inches and things like that, right? So it's going to be specific to G Dub terrain. But I think a lot of tournament organizers like myself are going to take the opportunity to maybe do things that are very similar to,
Yeah.
and maybe adopt a lot of the WTC type of terrain. First of all, it kind of helps out with the towering situation, right? Because you have these solid walls where you don't have to pretend or house rule that, hey, these windows don't really exist as actually a solid wall. The other part being that they're pretty tall, right? They're about 2 to 3 stories high. They're usually higher than most events that you actually go to. So I try, at least at Onslaught events, I try to provide the best efficacy when it comes to layouts, table terrain, and things like that. And people who know me very well know that I spend a lot of time kind of designing and setting these up properly. But yeah, this is a topic that I don't enjoy, brother.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people who put so much time and effort into cultivating their terrain sets and into the GW, and now it's completely
Yep.
different. Is I know, yeah, a lot of people got plexiglass plates, and I even got
Yeah.
some like neoprene, like made like the objective marker ones, like so. All those little things are not all of them are useful anymore.
Exactly.
All right, then the next step is you determine attacker and defender. On this, you basically look at the card, you determine which side's attacker, which side's defender, and then you roll off, and it's already determined. You don't pick sides. It's attacker gets one side, defender gets the other, which is a little different because defender used to pick their side. Uh, and then you have the select secondary step. So I'm sure a lot of people know, but I know some people are only halfway paying attention. But you have tactical and fixed now. So there's like a group of cards that it's 16 cards, like 7 of them I believe are fixed. And if you want to play fixed, which is kind of like we played last edition, you pick 2 of those, and each one can score up to 20 points because
Yep.
you max at 40 now instead of 50 for secondary. And if you do tactical, you mix those 7 in with the other 9 to make a 16 card deck, and each turn you randomly draw 2, and they'll tell you how to score. And if you score one, you discard it at the end of your turn, and you can choose to discard one at the end of your turn that you can't complete and gain a CP. And so it's a lot more like the
As
old
long
like.
as it's not turn 5.
Well, I mean, I
As
guess you
long
could.
as it's not turn 5.
I mean, I guess you could get a CP, but the game's over. It wouldn't do you any good.
True indeed. Facts.
Take that in. Take that into the next round. Uh, but yes, that's kind of like the old Maelstrom. So
Yeah.
it just gives different armies different ways to play the game, which is nice. I like that you're not stuck with either. I know some people don't like tactical, but don't play tactical. Pick fixed for yourself.
Yep.
So, and then
And gambits are fun.
yeah, and gambits make it interesting. I tried one in one game. I didn't pull it off, but I tried. Yeah, and then you just pick your formate, declare your formations. You deploy your army starting with defender, and then you roll for first turn. So that's easy, simple start of how you get into it. Then they gave us a couple of updates on the Leviathan cards. First one is for the deploy servo skulls primary mission. And as far as I know, these are only updates for the tournament, or are these up because they're in the tournament packs? I'm assuming this only works for tournament. If you're playing match play or narrative, you would play them the other way.
Only, no, it does. It's for Leviathan entirely, so it's
All
not
right.
just for impact.
All right. So this is
Yeah,
just for this whole. So these are changed for everybody, even though they put it just in the tournament pack.
absolutely.
All right.
And I
Cool.
think it needed it too because they needed more points. And this deploy servo skulls wasn't very clear. It's
Yes.
not cumulative, so it cannot stack.
Yeah. Well, I think it specifically said it was cumulative before. I think they may have changed their mind on that. Because or I may have just, maybe we just assumed it, whoever played it with, but I thought, I actually got the cards here. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Service goals. Yeah, only it says, note, these are cumulative. So they specifically told you before they added up.
Yeah,
And I guess after watching a lot of playtest games, because yeah, if you got two in your opponent's
got
deployment zone,
crazy.
you could score 30 points in one turn. So it got a little
I know.
crazy.
That's why it got crazy. That's
Yep,
why.
yep. So that's good. So you either score 2, 5, or 8. They don't add anymore. Pretty simple. Then on deploy teleport homers, tactical did not change. But if you do it in the center of the battlefield and you're doing fix, you get 3 instead of 2. So it
Yep.
helps. And then on behind enemy lines, it also changed there where if you get 2 units in your opponent's deployment zone, it's 4 or 5 tactical. And then if you get 1, it's 3 instead of, where is it?
Instead of five.
Yeah, you score 3 PP instead of 4 PP or instead of 5 PP.
Yep.
All right, yes, you score 3 if you get just 1, which works for tactical. There's no +1 for tactical on that, just on the getting 2. So
Yep.
tactical and fixed both score 3 on the first step of both of these, and if you do the second step on both of them, then they'll score different. So that's just some quick changes and stuff. Then we're going to get into actual tournament stuff. So they have here the list. They have 15.
15.
Yeah,
Woo!
it's where they did A through O instead of like numbers or names or anything like they normally do. Uh, like in the old books, we had like 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, and then 2-1, 2-2, 2-3. So now it's like, and the weird thing about this is like the other ones they were designed to roll 2d3 to get the missions.
Yeah.
There's no 15-sided dice.
Yeah.
So it's like when you're practicing, it's a little harder to like the tournament organizer will just pick some. But like if you're practicing and you just want to randomly do a tournament mission, it's like nobody has a 15-sided dice. That just makes it a little awkward, kind of.
Kind of do it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it gives tournament organizers the opportunity, right? If
Oh
they
yeah.
do a GT throughout the year, or if they want to try every mission pack, they can actually try them out little by little throughout the year, their RTTs and things like that. So I really like this.
Yeah.
I really appreciate this portion. I like the 15 amount of missions
Oh
that
yeah.
they have here. I like that every single terrain layout for number 1 is on every single letter.
Mm-hmm.
Mission type deployment. I really like that. So yeah, there's a lot to enjoy in this one.
Well, yeah, and nobody. I think the biggest events there are 9 rounds, so it's like that's great because
Yeah.
before there was 9 missions. So if they wanted to use a different mission, you knew the 9.
Yep.
So now you could, and the other thing is the other missions, like the layouts were a little different, but they all scored the same. Hold 1, hold
Yep.
2, or hold 2. Like, so this, like some of these missions are way different than the others. So like you have to really bring a versatile list, which I really like.
And I like that too. Yes.
Because yeah, it's like ninth edition. Like you had tournaments figured out. You knew what the missions were.
Yep.
This, they could just pick 2 different missions, and your whole list has to change. And no rules, no erratas, nothing. Just by what the tournament organizer picked for the missions. So you got to be ready for
I think
that.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think it creates more challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where people have to come in, like you said, with an all comers list and be prepared for any type of mission and not actually pigeonhole and tech into one particular list or one particular mission, right?
Absolutely, yep. And it's nice that there's lots of setups for lots of missions. So, because I know a lot of people like run a tournament. All right, I want to set one setup for day one, one setup
Yeah.
for day two, and so you could like, all right, we're doing 1 and 4, or we're doing 2 and 3, and like, and you have, and you're not pigeonholed into 3 missions. There's like 6 missions. You still have options for those days, what you
Yep.
want to do.
Technically, you could play 15 rounds and run all of terrain layout one.
That's true. Yeah, one is the only one that goes to every mission.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. And then so then they have all these here. A couple of the primaries are doubled. So like taking holds here twice, priority targets. But like some of them like sites of power and deploy service scrolls only once. Then mission rules, they don't use all the mission rules. A lot of them are chilling rain, which is a no rule.
Yes. Yep.
Uh, there's a couple of hidden supplies, which is if you control the objective in your deployment zone on a fort, you gain a CP. There's scrambler fields, which is the one where you can't infiltrate, deep strike, or anything on an objective.
Yep.
And then chosen battlefield. I think that's the one where you actually have to set up the objectives yourself. They're not preset. So that one's a little interesting that they threw that one in there.
Yeah, that's the one. Yep.
But those are the only ones. And then all the Dawn of War and Sweeping Engagement are only used twice. Hammer and Anvil 3 times. Crucial Battle 4. Search and Destroy 4. So it's interesting that they didn't like they're not balanced on how many of each of these are.
Yeah.
So that's
A
they
little
have
bit of variety. I like that. Actually like that.
yeah. Well, it's also because Dawn of War is what we've. I mean, that was just the deployment forever, and it's been in every edition. Now it's only on 2 missions, so I don't remember really ever going to a tournament and not getting a Dawn of War game. That could
Yeah.
happen fairly regularly now.
Yep. Yep.
Uh,
I think it's a different meta too, right? It's a different game system too, so that's why Dawn of War just becomes a little bit more challenging.
yep.
In the aspect that armies can get to you first turn faster, you can easily expose and fire on your opponents, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can kind of understand why it's not in there 100 times.
Yeah, I just always feel comfortable with it because I've been playing it since second edition. So it's always just like, all right, I get
I
my
know.
my side of the table.
Yeah, that's always been my favorite deployment.
Yeah. All right, and then they go down to the terrain layouts. So they specifically point out here that there's no fixed measurements. They're just generally area wise, which is nice because, like you were saying, not everybody's gonna have the exact same terrain, and they were also didn't want people to be able to. All right, I know if I deploy here, it takes me 3 inches here and 7 there. I'm on that objective around this terrain every time. No, it could be scooted over an inch. Well, now you can't make it to that objective now.
Yep.
So it's nice that it's one. It's easier for tournament organizers. This is 4.5, not 5 inch. Shut up, play the game.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, well, I didn't like the fact, like, going back to the objective markers where there were an infinite,
Mm-hmm.
impassable piece, right? And I'm glad that they clarified it because
Oh yeah.
what that really creates is it creates arguments, it creates weird interactions, right? It creates a scenario where you just want to micromanage every micro inch
Yep.
that's going on in the game. And when it gets real sweaty like that, those are the games that we don't enjoy as a total. So
Oh yeah, because yeah, just a couple games I played, just pile-ins and stuff. When there's ruins around that, it just makes it so weird.
it does.
Trying to
It
get
does.
somebody in base with someone in base to get combats and
Yeah.
it got clowned on in a lot of battle reports by people. So I'm wondering if they had this planned all along, or they saw getting clowned on so much, they're like, let's get rid of this.
They didn't know all along. Yeah, they got rid of it. It was the latter.
Well, see, I don't know why they would have put it in if they were just gonna get rid of it.
Exactly.
All right, and then here the subjective markers can sometimes and will be either hidden within terrain or placed in the open. So that's a change. They can actually go in terrain now, which they couldn't really last edition. They just
Yes,
can't be
correct.
in. They can't intersect walls or anything. So they actually have to be fully in or fully out. They can't be like halfway
Yep.
through.
Yep.
Uh, and
Well, it
then
makes it easier too. The neoprene has always been an issue
yep,
because it's so large, and a lot of organizers either have their terrain glued to the bases, which
yep,
is the footprint, right? Or they have these big clunky pieces, and you got to take the terrain piece out, put the neoprene there, right? So now in your Leviathan deck, they give you the 40 millimeters, and you're good. You should
yep,
be able to use that.
yep. I mean, it is nice though if there's an open area to use it. The neoprenes are nice just because
They are.
saves those
They are.
little measuring. Like, are you 3.1 or no? You're on it. You're on it. But yeah,
Yeah.
there were a lot of times they were a pain to place, or especially missions where you got to move the objectives.
Yep.
If you play server skulls, well, I don't want to have to be moving a neoprene every turn.
Every turn. Yep.
Yep. And then it looks like for the most part, it's mostly ruins. It says like with more bus terrain collections, you can include like woods and stuff. But on the suggested layout, it's mostly ruins.
Correct. Yep.
Eh,
Well,
And
that's
that,
really what it's about, right? Like it wasn't the ruins were the real issue because the ruins were covering a 12 by 12-inch plate, right, or
oh
footprint.
yeah,
People's terrains were so large; they were like 8 inches thick, 8 inches wide, right? And it made it very easy for them to kind of fit that in there. Now they kind of got to figure it out where they can slim it down, cut it down a little bit, or
yeah,
start putting out some terrain pieces. But I
yeah,
did want to point out something. I really like this, and I've known this for a very long time. That no fixed measurements, and I'm very appreciative when it comes to this because when people go to an event, if there's a standard, they will run to that standard to the death,
oh
right?
yeah,
So if they say, "Hey, this is how GW does it," you should do it the same way. If not, we don't have any confidence in you,
yep,
right? And I feel like if that would have been where we did have to do measurements, right? It would have made it more challenging, and
yep,
it would have had those weird scenarios where, hey, his table is not fixed like mine.
mm,
Can you fix mine and remeasure it because it's not precise, or something gets bumped in the game, or somebody bumps into a table, right?
yep,
So I can really appreciate these micro issues that I understand in my 8 years of experience as a TO, right? That I know and I'm aware of. These things bring problems, but no fixed measurements solves all that. So I love it.
yeah. Because yeah, if there was a fixed measurement, you'd have people online. Well, all his terrain was 1 inch to the left, and that's why I
Yeah,
lost. Because I was practicing with it like centered, and
yeah,
like
yep.
I doubt that.
This is my measurements. It's literally hands,
Yep.
hand measurements. That's it.
Well, yeah, and you don't want it the same every table. You got to adapt each table to the terrain. Oh, it's a half inch this way or it's an inch that way. Your sight
Yeah,
lines are slightly different.
yep,
Uh, and then here they just say some of the walls, like on their pictures, this is the trajectory. These little thin walls are only 2 to 4 inches in height, which I believe is the height that knights and like towering stuff can walk over, which I
correct.
think why they clarify that. And then these bricks here would be stuff they couldn't. Uh, but like you said, not every tournament organizer will have it exactly like that, but it'll be easy to tell which ones they can and can't do that on.
Yeah, I'm willing to sacrifice, right? Anyone who's been to an onslaught event
Yep.
knows that I pride myself in the terrain and the aesthetics of the terrain,
Mm-hmm.
but I also pride myself in the efficacy of that terrain,
Yep.
making sure that it plugs any gaps, any issues, any bad interactions,
Yep.
gotcha moments. People know that I hate gotcha moments, so I want to get away from all that.
Yep.
But if you don't evolve, then you can't survive, man. So I'm definitely going to evolve. I'm going to get some more terrain and make it happen and make it fun for everyone.
Yep. Yep. I have no doubt about it. So here it looks like on every table there's going to be six of the 6x12s,
Correct.
two of the what are they?
10 by 5,
10x5, and then
and then
four
four 6 by 4s.
6x4s. Yep. And it looks like the 6x4s, from what I know, so they're all going to be the terrain you can walk over. So that would be something for easy for organizers to say, even if they didn't have exact pieces. Like, hey, if they're on this little, uh, what was it? I forgot the measurement you just said, but a 6x4, whatever. Knights and stuff can walk
Yeah,
over it if they wanted to. So it's easier to
yeah,
like these size ones do this, these size ones do that. So that could help a little bit, just if you once you have the cutouts for those sizes, which most people will have the four little ones and the two medium-sized ones. You just got to make the six other ones. The cutouts,
yeah,
anyway. The terrain's gonna be a little harder to do. The cutouts, people will be able to figure out a little quicker than cutting their big 12x12s in half.
yeah. I know all too well, but I'm sizing down all of my terrain now, so
Yep.
I'm gonna figure it out.
Oh, I have no
It'll
doubt.
be fine. Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yep. And you got an event tomorrow, right? Your
Yes, I
first
do.
one? Yeah.
The
Unfortunately, I'm not
first
that.
competitive, yeah, first competitive one for 10th edition. We actually did two fun to plays,
Yep.
just to give people a demo, an introduction to how to play the game, and just get our feet wet, right? Just to
Yep.
kind of trial and error, figure everything out. That's when I found out that a couple armies are very strong.
Yeah. Yeah. I've touched on that in other videos. I'll leave that alone for now. Hopefully, that'll get
Yeah,
fixed here
exactly,
soon. Uh,
exactly.
but yeah, so this is a terrain layout one. You basically got And this is the one that can be used on every mission. So you got like these little L's
Yep.
in the corners, and then you got this
Yep.
weird double L, two things box in the middle. Which, sorry, I've played a couple games on it, and it's kind of interesting. It's a little different than anything we've really played on this last edition.
Yep. It's
But
similar to WTC stuff.
is it all right? So yeah, I've down there we mostly did GW when I lived down there, and then that one up here in Virginia they do just kind of regular player play. So I haven't actually got to play a lot of the WTC stuff. So that'll be kind of interesting. But I really like it. And then two is a little different. They just got the two of the big ones in the middle, and it's kind of you got your angled corners. Uh, so it's just like this one, you got the sight lines. You got this one sight line down through the middle here, but not so much on this way.
Yeah.
So if you come on this flank, you can be hidden. You come on this flank, you're going to walk into fire line. So it's kind of determines which side of the board you want to move certain units on. So it's like I like that it's not perfectly symmetrical. Like it's equal on both sides, but like all four corners aren't exactly the same, which it kind of was on the old GW.
Yep. Yep. I enjoy that too. I know that it's for Dawn of War for terrain layout too. I don't know how it's going to work on that. I don't think it's going to be super great for Dawn of War. Just saying.
Yeah, because you can hear someone gets here. Yeah, they could, if they're fast enough, they easily get these angles into your deployment zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that's where the
There's not a
Dawn.
lot of area to hide behind, and
Yep.
then the area there is to hide behind is angled at a 45,
Yeah,
so
because
it just makes it that much more challenging.
even if you get in the L in your deployment zone, if someone's behind here and it's fast, they could get here, maybe get some
Yep.
angles. You're a little
Yep.
protective on that side, but yeah. Then we got
I wouldn't say it's bad. I'm just saying you better have an elite army.
well with towering, you better have an elite army anyway.
Yeah. Like custodes or something, just 30 models or whatnot.
Yeah, with towering, it doesn't matter what the terrain is for the most part. You're finding angles.
Yep.
And then number three, it has the L's in the corner here, but the middle's not as congested. It's got these here, and it's got a little more on the side here.
Yep.
Uh,
I like three.
yeah, three is pretty
I'm a big
cool.
fan of three.
Yeah, I wonder if it's in hammer and anvil. I see you got some good deployments here. I'm guessing it might be a hammer and anvil one because you got good deployments. A little sneak up here.
Yeah.
Actually, I got it printed out. I can actually look at these while we're doing it, and not have to scroll up. Yeah, so three is no. Actually, hammer and anvil is one, two, and four. So
Yeah,
this,
this is actually good for Dawn of War.
uh, yep, yeah, one, two, and three are the ones for Dawn of War. So actually, this is the last one you
Yeah.
could use for Dawn of War.
Yeah.
So
I
this,
actually like this Dawn of War.
yes, so this one and oh, yeah, so one, yeah, one and two. Yeah, I guess three would probably be the best one for Dawn of War.
I
One
think
and
so
two
too,
doesn't
yeah.
look like there's gonna be a lot of spots to hide. Oh,
Yeah, because even if you can come out and depending what side you're on, but even if you can come out, you still have to go through an angle, which makes it
yeah,
that much tougher to shoot. So
yeah. Oh, I really like four. It's got L's in the corners made out of two big pieces, and
yeah,
then
that's great for hammer and anvil.
you got two little L's in the middle, and then you got the others scattered around. That's I actually like the way that looks. I don't know how it plays, but just for some reason to my eye, that's really pleasing to my eye the way that's laid out.
Isn't it? It's very symmetrical.
Yep.
It looks very balanced to your eye.
Yep.
You're absolutely right. The optics tell you that this looks very symmetrical.
Yeah, that looks like the type of table I would
Very
set up
balanced.
back before we had set terrain when you just kind of set up a balanced table at your house waiting for someone to play.
Yep.
And that's
Yeah, I
that.
think four might end up being the basically the most common one used.
Yeah, because that one. Let's see. There's one, two. Yeah, because that one can work for everything but the Dawn of War.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah. So that one. Yeah, that can go on 13 of the missions. Yes, you'll probably see this one a lot. That's really cool. Yeah, I like that setup. And that's it. That's the four. So pretty straightforward. everyone's different, so it's better than what two setups GW had, and player place you don't have to worry about taking those steps or like all the
Yeah,
extra movement, and each game's different. Like everybody's playing on the same table. Like, oh, I played against someone who's better at player place than me. I didn't set up right. I lost. You
yep,
can't blame they set up their terrain better or you made a mistake setting up your terrain. I mean, you can always complain about the terrain, but everybody's playing on the same terrain at each table
yep.
for the most part.
And I like that because it balances out, right? It's not like 300 people or 100 and something people are playing different missions, different mission rules. It just makes it more streamlined, right? And it makes it feel like we're all in unison playing the same rules and mission stuff.
Absolutely. And it's nice that Games Workshops actually, like they had their tournament packets for the opens, but they never really. It was kind of like secretive. It was never like out for the open for people to
Yep,
download and like. So it's nice that they're kind of putting a central like, hey, here's what our game is designed to play on. And if people are playing on other terrain packets and complaining about the rules, well, that's not what the game was designed to be played on. That's your fault.
yep,
And if you
right.
play now, if you play
Yeah,
on
no, I
there,
like that.
yep. Then they get
And this
into
is my favorite part.
yeah, they're getting into the pairing players. Obviously, first round's going to be random because it's always there's no other way to do it. Then it says first by record, which unless you go back to like fourth edition where everything was battle points, like this is pretty much the standard. If you're 2-0, you're
Yeah,
not playing a 1-1 player.
that's
Uh,
just wins now. So by record, that's just wins.
yep. And then a win path, which we've seen a lot of people. Uh, it started to get a little traction there toward the end of last edition, but when you get your loss is important. So someone who loses round one and is 3-1, and someone who loses round four and is 3-1, most likely won't play each other. You're going to play somebody who lost the same time you did. There's the same kind of win
Yep,
path as you.
yep.
And then within your win path, it'll be random. So you can't be like, I mean, I get it. So it stops submarining and stuff. You can't be like, oh, I have 84 points. He has 83 points. We're going to play. So I get like people
Yeah.
submarining trying to dodge people. But the one thing I always liked, which we're going to lose, which it's good for the game, but I kind of personally don't like, is you'd go to lunch, and like me and Dave used to do that all the time. Like, oh, I'm playing this person, and we're talking tactics, or how do I fight this army on this? So you kind of lose that, especially like unless there's
Do it.
only a couple of like two people 2-0 or 3-0 or whatever, then you can do it. But like if there's like 5 or 6 people in your win path bracket, you have no clue, so you kind of lose that a little bit. So it's better for the
But I
balance.
like that. That's the spice of life. That's the spice of life. You never know, right? You're going through a circuit and you're battling. Like if you were a Spartan, right? You were going through a gladiator
Oh
battle.
yeah.
You don't know who you're going to face next.
Oh no. I agree. It's better for the game. It's just it was a personal little interaction
No,
with
I
my
know.
friends that I'm gonna lose that I'll miss. But no, it's
You're
probably
right.
better for the game overall.
You're right.
And then ranking once again by record first, and then by your opponent's win loss, which that's nice. 'Cause it's always been like the one
I
person
like that.
gets 100 points every round, but they're just slamming scrubs, and then you like pair one of the best players round one and you squeak out a 1 point victory, you get like 60,
Yeah.
you win 65, 64, and you know you can't win the tournament.
Yep.
But now, if you
Yep.
know he wins out, you could still possibly win the tournament even with a low score because you
In
might
the
have a
tournament.
higher win record, opponent win record.
Yep. And I like that one. I like that one.
Yep, and then third victory points. Yeah, so hopefully everybody goes to this. I really like this. If yeah, that's that's really solid. It's a change from what it used to be. Like it was always about battle points, which kind of sucked because it was all about crushing your opponent. Like
It was.
if you got a noob, well, I better get my 100. You know, you couldn't like talk them and help them. Like, I mean, you could, but like you were trying to get every point out of them you could.
That you could, yes.
So,
And now it's not like that. Now you're going to have to compete against people regardless, well, not regardless of the points, but you're going to have a lot less hunting for 100 points, right?
right,
For looking for a complete dunk on people where they
yeah,
just want to blow people out and not make it enjoyable.
and
Now, this will be a lot better.
hundreds are going to be harder to get now, I believe.
Yes.
I mean, if you get like a top player into a new player, yeah, they'll find a way to get 100. But Most of the games I've played, it's the winners are getting in the 70s and 80s.
They're closer games too. Matter of fact, the
Hmm.
first demo or the first event that we ran, which is a very fun to play event,
Yep.
they the one thing that stood out the most from all of the participants was that people kept on saying that the game lasted longer, and they
Yes.
felt like they had an opportunity to actually play and compete. And I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. And I saw people who previously weren't as weren't competing as well, were competing and kind of staying steady to steady with their
Well, yeah.
opponents.
Well, that's kind of what's one of the things they were going for with trying to bring down the lethality of the AP, bringing up the toughness of
Yes,
stuff. Is like, because yeah, ninth edition, and most of the time it was decided by turn three. Someone like was
it
just
was.
trying to score a couple points, but they didn't have enough models to play the game.
Yep,
Now, yeah, it's like for the most part going into turn five, even if maybe you're like, man, I probably can't win this, you still have models to play the game with
it
for the
was.
most
Yep.
part, unless you're playing Eldar against Eldar. But that's a different story. We'll leave that alone. Uh,
We will leave it alone. No race night talk tonight.
yes, no Wraith Knights. I'll leave their fate dice to someone else. I mean, oh. Uh, but yeah, that's basically what they have for that, and then they have on the last page they have a thing about uh, what is the point of a tournament. You know, it's
Don't be a douchebag. Have fun. Don't be a douchebag. Don't do gotchas. Have some game etiquette.
yeah,
Have fun. At the end of the day, this is toy soldiers. You shouldn't get upset. You
yeah,
should go home, spend time with your family, friends, whatever it might be. Get on Netflix,
yeah.
have a beer, and drink. Like this Warhammer is
All right.
not life. It's not serious.
Yeah, it's everyone's. It's your break from work. It's your break from your
Yes,
wife and kids. If you need that, you know, it's like
yes,
it's to be around your friends and enjoy yourself. Yeah, it's like don't let what happens on a table with plastic miniatures affect your mood for the rest of the day, the rest of the
right.
week. Like we all win, we all lose. Like I've
And
won
the best
tournaments.
part is
Yep.
you hang with your buds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But like I said, I've won tournaments and then I've gone 0-3 and got clapped all day. Like it's
But you had fun though. You
yes,
had fun though, especially if it was me, you, and David all hanging out together. Absolutely.
yeah. The only time I didn't have fun is when I went 5-1 with Harlequins, 4-1 with Harlequins.
And that's true. That's true. I remember
I've
that.
never been that miserable winning. That army was just. Uh,
It was an auto win. I know.
it was, yeah. The only loss was to another Harlequin player, and I had one practice game. I borrowed them from you. I'd never played Harlequins before. They were that easy to play.
Yep, I remember that. That was
Yeah,
like Onslaught 4. I believe that was Onslaught 4, yeah.
yeah. Because I was practicing the Space Wolf list, trying to get it ready, and I ran into. It might have been Todd. I think Todd might have been running Harlequins when they were broken, and he killed my wolves in like 2 turns. And I
I
was
think
just
so.
like, and I was like, this is, and that was at like an RTT like the month before, and I was like,
Yeah, no.
I
I
was
know.
so mad, and I was like, I'm taking your Harlequins. I got one practice game the night before and went 4-1 with them. I was like, this is stupid. It should not. And like,
But
I
you
didn't
can
even.
still
I,
do that. What
yeah,
else?
and the only reason I lost the other Harlequin player because he knew the stratagems. I didn't even know any of the stratagems or anything, and I was winning with him. Like it was.
I know.
But anyway, enough of
Well,
that.
I'm
Like,
glad those days are over with,
yeah,
right?
yeah. But yeah, that's have fun. This game is, not serious. Like it's supposed to be our escape from everything. So just have fun. Make sure your opponent has fun. Like even if you beat them, don't be a sore winner and don't be a sore loser. Like
That's right.
I mean we all do it. We're having a bad week already and we get there and stuff happens, but try to confine it and not spread it into the community.
Look,
Try to
look.
leave it at the
What I
door.
tell people all the time is look for a reason to enjoy yourself,
Mhm.
right? If it's a bud that you came with, enjoy yourself with your bud, right?
Mhm.
If you came for painting, look at all the other painters, right? And just go around and talk to painters and try to figure out how to be a better painter.
Absolutely.
Figure out what it is that you like about that event. If it's the hobbying, if it's the painting, if it's the playing, or if it's just hanging out with your bud, right? Figure that out and have fun.
Yeah. Well, what are the
Yeah.
other players going to do? They don't have any friends.
Well, they're just gonna have to sit in the corner and on timeout.
But no, no, I'm just giving Eldar players a hard time. But no,
Yeah.
it's they'll fix it. Hopefully before ATC. But
So have you played a game yet? In the new edition? In the new
oh yeah,
Leviathan?
I've been playing a bunch of TTC or TTS with Dave and Bear, and I played one with Anderson today, practicing for ATC. And then
Okay.
I've played 3 or 4 in-person games, and actually tomorrow I'm going down to one of the local stores here, and we're gonna be playing around with the terrain that they have, getting it ready for the tournament, and doing some practice games, helping their TO get figure out what he wants to do with the
Nice.
terrain with what he has. But yeah, so I've got 2 games into the Eldar. I've got 2 games into Necrons. Got 1 game into Knights. I have 2 games into Custodes, 1 game into Sisters, and 1 game into Grey Knights.
Okay. Okay. World Eaters for me this year, baby. Either World Eaters or Orcs. I don't know.
Yeah,
One of the two, but I'm loving the World Eaters right now. Two
yeah,
Lord of Skulls are fantastic.
yeah. As long as everything stays fairly balanced, I'm gonna try to stay with the Wolves. It's been my thing since second edition. So,
I know.
and the Votan, the other army I just bought, they like. I'm not saying they're not competitive, but they feel bland. They don't feel like they have flavor. They don't feel fun. I'm sure you
Yeah.
can find a competitive list. It just doesn't. Nothing about them excites me right now.
Yeah.
But I do have the other half of the Tyranid half of the Leviathan box I'm building because that Screamer Killer looks cool. I loved the old Screamer Killer, so I
All
mean,
the bugs look awesome in that box set.
oh, I know Nids have always looked off. So I'm gonna be building Nids. I don't know if I'll get them on the table within the next couple of years or not, but they look cool, and I got some space on my shelf for another army, so it's gonna be Nids. But I'm playing my Wolves right now. I'm really enjoying them, so they probably won't see the Nids
Okay.
on the table soon, but I am working on them.
I know we went on a little tangent here, but everybody, if you want to get in contact with me, I am Mr. Onslaught Lewis. Please at my um, Gmail handle. It's the real Onslaught Gaming at gmail.com. If you want to catch me on Facebook, request an invite to Onslaught Gaming 40K. And hopefully, I'll see everyone at an event, GT Crucible in September. It's going to be fun. I think this is going to be a great addition. I think this companion is going to be amazing. Um, I'm going to try to do what I can do with the terrain and make everyone as happy as I can and go from there.
Yep, and end of next month, look for us at ATC. Lewis and I will be there with our team, the Rogue Traders.
Yeah, baby.
Yep.
Check us out.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll see you guys later, and have a wonderful night.
You